President Trump will get his formal renomination from the Republican National Convention later today. Now, the convention officially in Charlotte, and the GOP is playing by the pandemic rules, limiting people and events. The Trump campaign unveiled its list of speakers yesterday for the four-day event. So let's bring in this morning's guests, Brad Polumbo and Daniel DiMartino. Good to see both of you this morning. Thank you for joining us for Monday Morning Quarterback. Daniel, let me start with you. What do we expect for the Republican convention?
Well, we're going to have today a great speaker, in my opinion, which is former ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley. And we're going to see many people, including Vice President Mike Pence, at some point in the next 4 days. We're going to see Governor of South Dakota, Kristi Noem. We're going to see a lot of rising stars within the GOP. And what I see, based on the speaker lineup, is that we're seeing the fight for the 2024 nomination for the GOP already starting, with Tom Cotton, Josh Hawley, Nikki Haley, even Mike Pence, all battling for the nomination as early as this week.
Brad, what do you think about the lineup that's been announced?
Well, half the featured speakers are members of President Trump's family, so count me a little bit more skeptical than my pal Daniel over here. I mean, he's right. Some of the speakers are impressive people like Nikki Haley. We've got the Secretary of State speaking. But we've also got Donald Trump's kids and his obviously the First Lady. That makes more sense. But do we really need to hear from half the members of the Trump family about how great their dad is? I guess I just don't see what the value add is or who that's supposed to convince.
Brad, let me stay with you for a minute. What do Republicans have to do during this convention to make sure that they're speaking to Republicans across the country, not just President Trump's base?
Well, one problem is that they're not even putting out a platform. They said our platform is we disagree with the Democrats and we support Donald Trump, and they're just not doing a platform this year. So the idea that they're articulating a clear message to voters, not so much so far. I mean, they will be able to run to some extent on anti-Democrat sentiment, but you've got to have more than that. And especially in the middle of a crisis, are they really offering a clear, coherent vision? So far, I'm skeptical that they will.
Daniel, what do you think? Do you think they can reach beyond the base?
I think they're definitely trying to reach beyond the base, just based on the speaker lineup. We have many Republicans who are rising stars, who are part of minority communities. We have the Attorney General of my state, the state of Kentucky, Daniel Cameron speaking. We have Kim Klacik, the famous candidate in Maryland, who just got a viral video showing how the Democrats have let down minority communities all across this nation. I think the GOP has a consistent effort to reach out to minority communities that have not traditionally voted for them. And I'm not concerned about the president's family speaking. This is completely normal for all conventions. Joe Biden's family spoke about him. Who can better speak about the president than his own kids and his wife and anybody in his family? I think that's great, and it shows the human side of President Trump, who just lost his brother, and it's honestly just good, in my opinion.
So, Daniel, if you have to pick an issue or two aside from just saying, you know, we're going anti-Democrats here, if you have to pick an issue or two to tout as for the Republicans, what do you choose?
Well, I think that the Republicans are emphasizing their push against socialism, not just the rhetorical one, but what they're doing in college campuses, guaranteeing free speech. And what I heard is that they're going to have people from Cuba and from Venezuela, like myself from Venezuela, who know these experiences of what socialism does to their countries, and they're going to highlight that in the convention. And I think that's important. It's an important message to run on, and it's an important message that everybody in this country needs to hear, not just that Republicans are anti-socialism or that they're all white men sitting in their rooms and are just capitalists. They're not. This is about people who benefit from capitalism, and that's everybody, from the poorest to the richest.
All right, Brad, last question on this particular topic. You know, we saw the Democrats do everything virtual. Republicans now want to do a mix of virtual and live speeches. Does that make a difference in the, I guess, the presentation aspect of it, if nothing less?
Look, we might have fewer technical glitches, or some parts of the Democratic convention, like the roll call, went really well despite the technological angle. I don't know that I think that will make a huge difference. At the end of the day, it will be what moments go viral, what speakers say something that really resonates with people, who catches the headlines. I don't think the technical format will be a big issue. And here's hoping that it goes off without a hitch so that we can all follow the chaos and the drama that's sure to ensue.
All right, Brad, we'll keep it with you as we move on to the second half right now, and we're going to follow up on the convention from last week as we've learned more and more about what Joe Biden plans to put in place. We've heard more rumblings about his potential tax plans. We've also heard about his COVID plans and mandatory mask requirements, that type of thing. Anything stand out to you as to what might work or what might be a perhaps bad idea at his part?
Well, people don't seem to realize it because he has wrapped himself in this moderate record, but Joe Biden is running on the most progressive legislative agenda in our modern American history. So we do have to acknowledge that fact that Joe Biden's approach apparently is a federal mask mandate. He said it many times, but there's no actual authority for that in the Constitution. So it's extremely dubious that he could even do that, even if we were to posit that maybe that would work, which we can't necessarily know. So it is concerning to see him touting as one of his main pandemic response items, something that he clearly doesn't have the constitutional authority to do.
Daniel, I'll give you the final word on that. What do you think?
I think that Joe Biden has no idea any of his own proposals. I think that he's definitely being a puppet of all his advisors. And that's my concern if he wins the nomination. Not as much that he himself is a radical. I think even President Trump has admitted this. It's that who's going to make policy in a Joe Biden administration? Recently, we saw even one of his campaign directors in Arizona was shown to be a communist, a self-declared Marxist. And if these are the people they're recruiting, how is his administration going to look like? They're going to open relations with Cuba. They're going to stop sanctioning Venezuela. They're going to do all these things internationally, and then they're going to do unconstitutional things in this country. Want to pack the courts like some of their Democrat previous nominating candidates wanted to do. I think that it's very concerning, and that's why President Trump deserves 4 more years.
2.5 months to go. The back and forth will continue. In the meantime, Daniel Martino, Brad Polumbo, good to talk to you guys this morning. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
Thank you.
7:30.